right, Oval fans. Now, kind of like my disclaimer, like I usually did when my Pains videos were a thing, when I would review the show. And it got to the point where it was so god awful that I had to literally say, look, this is nothing against the cast members. I'm talking about the characters and the show in general. So, in terms of the cast, look, make your paper. You're doing your job. You're working at Tyler Perry Studios. I cannot fault you for that. Make the paper. We all got bills, but that does not exclude the show from being bashed. Now, when it comes to the Oval, let me just say up front, in terms of what show I'm more eager to see on Wednesday night, I would say the Oval over Sisters. Because I will admit, there is an intriguing story with the Oval, even though it's kind of a hot mess. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the five, I guess you could say, the top five inconsistencies. I really don't even know what to title this video, but I don't want to say complaints, but these are things that a lot of fans have brought up since the series first aired. Now, it's one thing to just watch one episode, say this show sucks, and you're done. But it's another to watch several episodes. Even if you haven't watched all 9 episodes so far, if you've only watched a few, I think it is fair to say that these complaints or these observations or inconsistencies have been noticed. And the thing that really hurts is that the show isn't even 10 episodes, and I do believe that both the Oval and Sisters are slated for 25 episodes for their first season. We're not even close to the halfway point, and there are already some things in the show that make no sense whatsoever. Trust and believe, the title of this channel is the Haves and the Have-Nots Review. Obviously, my favorite show on television. First couple seasons, fantastic, but then the show started to decline in quality. It doesn't mean the show wasn't still good, because obviously I wouldn't have watched from, season 3 to season 6 if I did not enjoy the show. But there were a lot of things that made no sense, inconsistencies, dragging storyline, boring characters, yada, yada, yada. But there were still gems there. But the thing about it was, remember, the show had 2 solid seasons at the beginning before the show kind of got a little shaky around season 3. Reminds me of the game, because remember I did a video on the game not a couple days ago about the reboot and how I said personally the first 2 seasons were the best. Season 3 was good, but the show was fighting an uphill battle because the CW was looking to drop it anyway. Then BET took the reins due to fan demand of the show coming back. I did watch the first couple seasons, like, 4 and 5, but then I fell off when Melanie and Derwin left. So I feel like the Haves and the Have-Nots is kind of the same. I don't think the decline is as drastic because the game obviously became more drama focused and comedic. But when it comes to the Oval, 5 things. And remember, there are some things I want to list that you might think, Jeremy, you should add that to the list. So make sure you comment below. But in my opinion, number 5, Vice President. Just like on the Haves and Have-Nots, we know Charles is about to enter the White House, assuming he doesn't get killed or decide to quit. I don't know. But in any case, we don't know who his running mate is. I'm thinking that it could be whatever character that Jeffrey Owens will be playing in season 7. Again, I do not know. I'm only speculating. But in the Oval, you have the first family in the White House. And I understand Tyler Perry said this show isn't about politics. It's about kind of like the lives of the people who live in the White House, which makes sense. But the vice president, I mean, hell, the way the show's looking is like, is Donald the chief of staff? Wait, is that his title? The chief of staff? I forgot. But it's like, is he the vice president? Because it seems like he's the one who's like telling Hunter, well, we got a meeting and this and that. And it's like, oh, okay, you don't feel like doing it. All right, you go back to watching your porn and waiting on Denise while I'll handle this. So I really do wish the vice president would come into play. Hell, I mean, that could be an interesting storyline. What if, the vice president, what if Victoria tried to get with the vice president to get back at Hunter or something like that? Or what if Hunter tried to get with the vice president's wife? That's just one of those storylines I could definitely see happen if we had the character introduced. Then we go to number 4, which I literally just recorded a video on before I recorded this one, and it's about Richard's job. The fact that Victoria made it clear that she wanted Hunter to give Richard the job back because she knew Gail was lying about Barry assaulting her. Yet I do believe that was like in episode what 4 whenever Richard got fired. We just had episode 9 and she mentions the butler and how they don't have one. So why the heck, which I do believe this is all occurring in the same day. So why the heck has Hunter not given Richard the job back? Now, I understand he's a lazy ass who only cares about himself, but at the same time, you literally made a huge mistake by firing a tenured butler who had been at the White House for what, 20 years, yet you didn't bother to even tell Donald to hire the butler back. I mean, if Hunter didn't want to call, I mean, have Donald hire him back, but at the same time, Hunter should at least apologize in person. But Victoria has done all these random things within the course of a day. What, tased her daughter, assaulted Denise, went out to find her daughter, but didn't pick up the phone or whatever or tell these security to just get Richard the job back. So I think the whole job situation makes no sense to me. And once again, I did an entire video on it, so I don't want to harp on it here. Number 3, this is not uncommon knowledge. My least favorite storyline in the show is the one involving Bobby, Kyle, Lily, and Donald. I literally zone out whenever they're on screen because it's the same recycled dialogue over and over again. I shot a man. You need to forget about that. Look, somebody's trying to sabotage you. How do you know? I don't trust you. Sir. Donald, it's Kyle. Yeah, it's just dumb. I think it's a waste of time. True, this could be leading to a bigger storyline or payoff at some point, but to me, I honestly, call me Rhett Butler because frankly, I don't give a damn. Number 2, the knife. I went back and rewatched the ending of the last episode 1 and the beginning of episode 2. Nancy clearly had a big knife when she was trying to fend off the cult members when they burst into the house to abduct Callie, and they pinned her down, and then they took the knife and then they left. Then come to find Ruth had been killed, stab wound, face mutilated, goes back to the house, sees the big butcher knife missing, suspects her son did it. Nancy, where did you get the knife that you were going to use on the cult members when then they took the knife? So did you have a knife just casually underneath a pillow or something? Or, you know, did you suspect foul play with Ruth and it's like, ooh, this child doesn't leave, I want to take this knife? And I don't know, did she, I forgot, did she reach in the drawer to get the knife or whatever? But I don't think she would have a knife in a, you know, just a casual desk in the kitchen, the living room, because that was actually a big knife. So why Nancy thinks that Barry took the knife and went to take care of Ruth makes no sense, because I don't know. I think this is a dumb storyline, does not do anything positive for the Nancy character. So that's why it is number 2. Number 1. Actually, I got to do a runner-up. Clothing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't Barry been wearing the same clothes since episode 1? And people are like, when is Lily going to put some clothes on? All she's been doing is wearing her like nightgown around the house and everything. The only time we've seen her dressed up was in episode 1 until she got undressed in the bathroom with Bobby. And then the episode where she went shopping with Lily went shopping with Victoria only to see a Denise beatdown. But honestly, I have no problem with Lily in her nightgown, but that's just me. I'm a guy. So now move to number 1. And this goes back to my disclaimer. The acting. Actually, I think acting and story go hand in hand. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Acting and story goes hand in hand. The acting in this show is not the greatest, I will admit. And I do know that when it comes to not just Tyler Perry, but for the most part, any series, even when it comes to like voice acting and like animated roles, this is not uncommon. The first season, the series is trying to find itself. The cast are growing into the characters and, you know, demeanor, physical body language, vocal patterns, all that stuff comes into play. But there are some cringe-worthy scenes within these 9 episodes where it's just like, ooh, how did that make Final Cut? This could go back into the whole, you know, Tyler Perry films things way too fast, where he usually goes by like maybe the first take and maybe he does one for safety. But I get it. When it comes to like any producer, director, you got to come with your A game. But sometimes, what was that saying? I know that mayor said this, and what was it, or was it governor? It was in barbershop too. It was when Jimmy, the know-it-all guy at the barbershop, ended up working for like the mayor's office. I forgot. It was mayor or governor, whatever. And then he was like, Jimmy, it's better to measure 10 times and cut once than to measure once and cut 10 times. So it's just like, I think another analogy I saw, I think my uncle said this before, it's like, something is just like, painting a fence. It's like, do you want it done or do you want it done right? And I'm like, that is a very good point. So I feel like sometimes the actors aren't really giving their best, and I don't blame them, because once again, I do feel like with them rushing production and like filming an entire season within a couple of weeks, there are moments where it shows, whether it be through repetitive, and for the most part, you can tell they're doing the best with the material they're given, because some lines and dialogue are just trash and that goes back to like the whole Kyle, Lily, Donald crap, where it's like every time they're on screen, it's the same damn thing all the time. They're just repeating the same dialogue. The motions are the same, and it's just ridiculous. I get it. The haves and the have-nots is not safe from this either. This has been a reoccurring complaint amongst fans for seasons. However, I have to keep saying, if you go back and watch the first couple seasons, they were golden. But then as the show continued on, it just kind of downgraded in quality. The show still had its moments, but there are still moments where it's painfully obvious that some characters are just stiff. They're not getting any development. Anytime they're on screen, they just recycle the same dialogue. And it's almost like, they're forced to be it's like their character is forced to be in the episode. It's almost like they're Team Rocket on Pokemon, where back in the day, they were in every awful episode. It's like, no, excuse me. They always had these god awful cameos in every episode, like, oh, we're going to steal 5 minutes of the episode away trying to steal Pikachu. And it's like, you don't have to be there. But as the series went on, Team Rocket isn't in every single episode, which is good. Kind of like Ambitions, which I still need to do several videos on. That was one of my favorite parts about Ambition season 1. Not every character was in every single episode. So when characters popped up who were reoccurring characters, you knew something was going to go down because their role was important. But to actually squeeze in, the Oval has one of the biggest cast that I think Tyler Perry has given us at the beginning of a series. Like, the Haves and the Have-Nots had a pretty sizable cast. What you had, and I'm just going to count all to the top of my head from the season 1: Celine, Hannah, Candace, Benny, Amanda, Wyatt, Jim, Catherine, Jeffrey, David, Veronica, and I believe that's 11 characters off the rip. I'm not even counting, other characters like, Tony and like certain people who were working like detectives and whatnot for Jim and David and everything like that. But the story flowed a lot better rather than people being crammed in episodes. With the Oval, it's like, it's not, I feel like the Oval sometimes wastes time. And like I said, the whole Bobby, Lily crap, I think that eats up way too much time. Remember in episode 1 how we talked about how, okay, the Franklin family aren't even like 5 minutes in the episode, and that's stupid. We spend too much time at Nancy's house. So I think that the Oval has a few weaknesses already, and it's pretty painfully obvious. I think one of the biggest mistakes is having way too many characters at the beginning of the series, jumping far too deep into the drama and tension aspect when we barely know these people. And that's one thing I've already said about the haves and have-nots. Like Veronica, she's bigger and badder than ever every season, blowing up stuff, having people beaten, having people killed, shooting, fires. But it's gotten to the point where it's just gotten old to me. Sure, they're great cliffhangers. They make for some of the biggest videos on my channel during a given season. But I want to know more about Veronica. Hell, in the episode The Black Sheep, where the first 7 minutes was Victoria telling Max her backstory, it felt like within that 7-minute block of time, we learned more about Victoria than we have about Veronica on the Haves and Have-Nots, and she's been on the show for 6 seasons. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only episode she was not physically on screen was the episode right before the episode of the Veronica show, which was the season 4 finale. It was the episode where, you know, her and Melissa got in the car wreck. It was the episode right before that where she was on the phone with Jeffrey and Justin threatening them, but she wasn't on camera in the entire episode. So what I feel like Tyler Perry kind of like threw this show in the blender and then just poured it out in a cup, and it's like, here you go. So I'm going to hang on to the Oval. I will still watch it, but I hope it gets better. The ratings are more or less pretty darn good. So I would not be surprised if this show gets a season 2. And for anyone watching, if there is anyone from the cast of the Oval and whatnot, like I said before, this is not a knock against the actors and cast members. I'm just talking about some things that a lot of fans have pointed out about the series so far. And I mean, if you were part of the show and you haven't been to my channel before, then trust and believe. Go through all my playlists. I know there's way too many videos to go through because you're all busy people, but just know that I'm a fan like everyone else. I'm not affiliated with Tyler Perry Studios whatsoever. I watch the shows and I review them. I only watch and review shows I like on this channel because there are shows that have been recommended to me to watch and review, and trust and believe there have been some bangers which I knew for a fact if I jumped on this bandwagon, then I know my channel will blow up. But my thing is, this is my full-time gig, and I don't want to watch and review something I don't have a heart for, because if I do, it means I'm going to have to rant and complain every episode I review, and I don't want to do that. But this is a video going over some of the biggest complaints about the show so far, but that doesn't mean it can't get better. And I know, like I said, we're only in season 1, and we are in episode 9. That doesn't mean things can't turn around by the end of the series, season 1. But kind of like with the Pains, it's one of those things where, yeah, this season really ain't hitting home for me, and then I had to quit. But just know when the Haves and the Have-Nots comes back, like I said before, that's going to take priority on the channel. So I still will do Oval and sister videos, but they might not be coming out at the same rate. Like if the Haves and the Have-Nots hits us with a banger episode, and I do my episode review and trailer breakdown, but then there's some theory videos to do, Oval and sister videos might not come out until later in the week. And like I said before, I'm revamping some things. I want to get Patreon going, my podcast going. So not to mention we've already hit 100K. That doesn't mean I'm going to quit the channel. Duh, this is my full-time job. But it's kind of like, you know, I think my priority is going to change in a few different areas of my life. So just be aware of that. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Some people have already just said the Oval is trash. If you go down to the link in the description to my social media, I do have a group where fans of the Oval talk. A lot of people are saying the same thing. A lot of the things I've mentioned in this video, from the acting, the story, to the knife, to Richard's job, to the vice president, to the clothing, to the Bobby, Lily, Donald, Kyle thing. Barry is not a fan favorite. I will say that much. A lot of people do not like Barry. So I feel like this show, I want it to get better because Tyler Perry's putting a show on a big network on BET, and I don't believe he's done that since his days on TBS. The OWN network is kind of exclusive. It's like you have to pay a little extra for it, and not everyone has it. But I feel like that's where a lot of his best material is. So to actually have material on a network like BET, I just want him to put out better stuff. And again, I'm just a fan. I'm not the one with the multi-million-dollar studio. I'm just a guy sitting in my apartment. But hey, just a guy in my apartment. I don't have a studio, but I am a fan of these shows regardless. But I think, you know what? I think the biggest thing that this show really needs to do is to not be the haves and the have-nots. I think what Tyler Perry did was he looked at the elements that people respond to the most about the haves and the have-nots and put that at the forefront of the Oval in terms like the drama. Because at the end of episode 1, I was scratching my head along with other people like, what the hell is going on here? Cult members just storming in on Nancy's house, not really seeing the first family at all in the entire episode, despite the fact that the first family has been the primary people on like the promo tours and the trailers leading up to the series. And it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? So I think that what Tyler Perry is forgetting is the fact that, look, the cliffhanger, and look, regardless of what I say about any of his shows, negative or whatever, Tyler Perry to me is the king of cliffhangers. Like, the thing about me is like how you have the Oval have a lackluster episode, but then you give us a cliffhanger, like, oh my god, and then you go right into the sisters, like, my girls hold me down. No. I need to recover from that cliffhanger on top of the next episode preview. I can't worry about what Andy and Gary and Danny and them are doing. I need to find out what happened and who got shot or who got stabbed. So when it comes down to it, I think the Oval needs to be its own show. It doesn't need to be the next Too Close to Home. It doesn't need to be the haves and the have-nots of BET. I think the Oval kind of needs to take its time, not drag its feet, but I really do think that the show should establish these characters a little bit better before jumping into full-on drama. Like I said, the biggest thing for me, and I think I mentioned this like several minutes ago, is the fact that I feel like there is too big a cast and the show has just started. Now, off the top of my head, actually, no, I have my iPod in front of me. I posted a photo a couple days ago and I tagged all the cast members just to say, like, hey guys, follow these people on social media. And it's kind of like I think the Oval might have one of the longest title openings of any Tyler Perry show because you have so many freaking cast members. Now, let me just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. A minimum of 15 characters. And I say 15 in the title of the show, but that doesn't include characters like Kareem, Picky, Tally from the Cult. I don't even think Roof and Denise are in the opening. So yeah, there are at least, I want to say maybe 20 freaking people in the series already. So yeah, I think maybe trimming down the cast would have been a better move. But like I said, I'm not the one running the show. I'm just the guy that watches it. So with that being said, make sure you follow the cast on social media. The ones I've talked with have been very nice, responsive, and I wish them all the best on their future endeavors outside of the Oval. Not to mention some of the characters are Melissa Williams is getting Ruthless on BET Plus, so maybe that show will add more oomph to this series. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But let me know in the comment section below, how are you liking the show so far? Have I pretty much hit the nail on the head with everything I said was in this video? But keep in mind, most of what I said in this video are things I've agreed with because a lot of fans and viewers have brought this up to me or they've put it online themselves. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check me out on social media. Links are in the description below. And let me know, should I do a video like this for sisters?